And we're back. Why do bodybuilders eat typically 5, 6 times a day? Not everyone, but this is my take on it. I tend to eat 4 to 5 meals, sometimes six, because it just works out with my schedule and works out with my hunger, and that's how I manage it. Ultimately, I think that's how everyone, or everyone who does that, that's the reasoning why they do that. Same thing with people who eat 3 times a day or do intermittent fasting, one big meal. When it comes to bodybuilding, the two different seasons, right? Growth season, prep season, you have two ways to manage two different goals. One, how are you going to manage eating more food, right, in a surplus in order to grow? And it doesn't have to be a big one, but you're eating more food, right, than you actually require as far as your body, right, satiety, versus eating less food in order to lose fat. So, well, for at least myself, I get hungry every 4-ish hours. And so I wake up earlier in prep, not, it's just the nature of being in a deficit, not initially, but excuse me, in a deficit over a period of time, you're waking up early. And so I start my day and I try and stave off my first meal as long as I can. I'm not going to eat as soon as I wake up because that would just put me back. But usually an hour or two, usually knock out some steps and then have a meal or do something around the house and then have a meal. And then I keep on that cadence. And so also you have to compensate for when you're going to go to sleep. So usually you don't want to eat within 2 hours, depending on how big your meal is, so maybe even 3 hours before you go to bed. So you have those windows, and then you just got to break it up. And that is even more important in a bulk because you're going to eat more food. And if you start the day, right, you start the day and you backload all your calories for that nighttime meal, it's probably going to mess up your sleep. I know it affects mine. So if you can evenly spread it out over 3, 4, 5 meals, it's going to help you digest a little bit easier on your gut. Smaller meals, you avoid feeling that bloated feeling, and um, in general, your GI tract is kind of on that 4 hour-ish rotation of digestion. So moving, you know, peristalsis is the fancy word, digesting food through your GI tract. That's usually around that time period. So another way to help if you're in a uh, bulk is to walk around after your meal. Even in a prep, I think it's good to have a 10-minute walk after you eat, just to help move around that food. You're not just sitting there, and plus you're probably antsy anyway, and you're probably thinking about wanting to eat more. So it helps in both regards. Uh, but that's why there's nothing fancy about the amount of times that you eat. It doesn't really, as long as you're eating, you know, a decently spaced or portioned amount of protein, right? And even they've shown up to 100 grams of protein in one sitting is still going to get digested. However, that's probably going to hurt your stomach. That's a lot of food, um, unless you're getting like whey protein powder or something like that. It just makes more sense to break those feedings up. Sometimes that's just the way it works too, right? Sometimes you have a busy day, life gets in the way, and you're like, crap, what do I do? Well, just knock it out. And so if that's your life every day, we'll figure out a way to drink a drink, right? 30 grams of protein, 60 grams of protein, and then you have enough time to, you know, make a smoothie. They have these portable blenders now, right? I know it's a little bit expensive, you're like $50 to $100, but if it's something that you are very serious about, I think it's worth the investment to do something like that, and then you can have your shake with you, protein powder. There's so many options these days that you can get it done. So hopefully that helps answer some questions, and uh, not add stress if you're not eating that many times or you think that's what you got to do in order to obtain a physique. It's not necessary. Just it's about a lifestyle, fitting it in the best way and the most efficient way to get your food in. But overall, calories is going to be the main driver in a consistent way. So after that, you can get into the minutia, and it's really going to be a personal choice. So see you on the next one.